I think we should wrap this up, my boss Laura said with a fake smile as she pushed her salad bowl aside. She had invited me to lunch at our usual downtown cafe. A little fancy, quiet enough for business talk, and decorated with soft jazz and hanging lights. I thought it was to celebrate my 20th anniversary with the company. 20 years. 2 whole decades. I was one of the first 5 employees when it all began. I helped build the company from a small startup in an old warehouse to what it is today, a multi-million-dollar firm with offices across 3 states. But now, sitting across from me in her bright blazer, stirring her drink like she had no care in the world, Laura dropped a sentence that felt like it punched me straight in the chest. "We're letting you go, Mark." I blinked. I thought I misheard. I even smiled, thinking she was joking. But Laura's face stayed still. Calm, cold, professional. "Why?" I asked, my voice dry. She folded her hands and leaned in slightly, like she was explaining something small and harmless. "It's time for a fresh direction. We need younger talent, people who understand modern trends. I'm sure you get it." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She wasn't firing me because I messed up. Not because of a mistake. Not because the company was cutting costs. It was just, I wasn't young anymore. I looked down at my hands. I had calluses from when we used to build our own desks, from staying late setting up servers and dragging boxes. My hair had more gray now, and sure, I sometimes forgot how to use Slack properly, but I still got things done. I always had. And now she was firing me over lunch? Just like that? I gave this place everything. I whispered, trying to breathe. Laura picked up her phone and smiled. "We're grateful for that, but it's time to evolve. And, hey, don't be upset. Maybe take some time off, travel. I hear Florida's nice this time of year." I just stared at her. Then I remembered something she didn't know. One small thing. And once she finds out, it won't be her smiling anymore. Now let me take you back to where it all started. I got my first real job at 24. Before that, I worked at a gas station, ran deliveries for my uncle's print shop, and fixed computers on the side. I didn't go to college. I couldn't afford it, but I taught myself everything I could online. Coding, networking, even how to solder wires on a motherboard. I was hungry to make something of myself. One day I saw a flyer on a community board. "Startup seeks tech support. Fast learners. Must be comfortable with chaos." That chaos became my life. When I joined the company, we were 5 people crammed in a windowless room with 3 desks. The boss back then, Ron, was this energetic, red-haired guy with a voice like a radio host. He liked people who could think on their feet. He liked me. "Mac, I need you to figure out how to host our website for less than $50 this month," he'd say. And I would. Sometimes by staying up all night reading message boards. Sometimes by calling friends for help. Whatever it took. In the early years, I slept on the office couch more than I did at home. I miss weddings. I miss birthdays. But we were building something. It felt like a family. Years passed. We moved into a real office. Hired more people. I got promoted, then promoted again. I didn't ask for much. I wasn't flashy. I didn't play office politics. I just did my job. And I did it well. Then Ron retired and handed the reins to Laura. She was smart, sharp, good with words. She called herself a modernizer. At first, I liked her. She brought energy, new tools, bigger clients. But slowly, things began to shift. She started having brainstorming retreats with the younger employees. She stopped inviting older staff to major meetings. The office started feeling colder, less like a team, more like a popularity contest. I tried to adapt. I even asked one of the interns to teach me how to use TikTok, just so I could relate to the younger staff. But it didn't matter. Laura had already made up her mind. Still, I had no idea she'd do what she did that afternoon. The lunch invite had seemed kind, friendly. I thought maybe she was planning a surprise thank you party or a bonus. My wife, Sarah, even told me to wear a nice shirt. "Maybe they are giving you a plaque or something," she laughed. But instead, I got fired over spinach salad and sparkling water. And that brings me back to the thing Laura didn't know. You see, 6 months ago, Ron reached out to me quietly. He said he wasn't sure about Laura's direction. Said he felt something off. Said he needed someone inside to keep an eye on how things were changing. So I agreed. I wasn't just a regular employee anymore. And what I had discovered in those 6 months, it was going to change everything. But before I could say anything, before I could even finish processing what just happened at the cafe, my phone buzzed. It was an email from HR. Subject, termination confirmation. And something in that email, something in the final paragraph, it made my eyes go wide. And that's when I realized something worse was happening. And I wasn't the only one. That the silence of my car was louder than any noise I had ever heard. The quiet made my thoughts scream. The roads blurred. I barely noticed the turns or red lights. I wasn't driving home. Not yet. I didn't want to walk through that front door and see Sarah's hopeful eyes. I didn't want to lie to her, but I couldn't tell her the truth either. Instead, I pulled into the parking lot of a small park I used to take my son to when he was little. It was quiet. The same swings creaked in the breeze. A squirrel darted past my tire. Everything around me was peaceful, normal, like the world hadn't just kicked me in the gut. I stared at my phone. No new messages. No calls. Laura had really done it. After 20 years, she had tossed me aside like I meant nothing. For younger talent, I was still in disbelief. I sat there for hours, watching families play, joggers run by. An older man walking his dog gave me a nod, like he somehow understood. Maybe he'd been in my shoes before. When I finally made it home, the house smelled like garlic bread and something warm in the oven. Sarah met me at the door with a kiss and a bright smile. "How was lunch with Laura?" she asked, taking my coat. I paused, gave a weak smile, and said, "Not what I expected." She tilted her head. "Good not expected or bad not expected?" "Let's talk after dinner," I replied. My voice was barely above a whisper. We sat at the table. She talked about her day, her students, the little girl who drew her a crayon picture of a cat that looked more like a pineapple. I smiled when I needed to, nodded. But inside, I was still at that restaurant, hearing the words again. "We think it's time to bring in new blood." Sarah noticed something was off, of course. She always did, but she gave me space. She always gave me space when I wasn't ready to talk. That night, when she went to bed, I stayed up, just me and my thoughts in the living room. I opened my laptop and stared at it. My resume hadn't been updated in almost a decade. I felt sick. I was nearly 50. Starting over wasn't just scary, it felt impossible. I clicked open my inbox. Hundreds of old emails, memos, project files, notes from junior employees asking for help. Then I found an unread one. From Ron. Subject line, "Keep this between us." My heart stopped. I opened it. "Mark, if you're reading this, something probably happened. I had a feeling. Laura talks a good game, but I don't trust how she's been moving. That's why I left you the access codes. You know which server. I need you to check the project reports for Q3 and Q4. Look closely, and don't tell anyone, especially not her. Run." I blinked. My fingers trembled a little. I clicked through my saved folders. Hidden deep in the cloud drive, behind layers of old project files, was a server I hadn't touched in over a year. The one only Ron and I had access to. When I opened it, I saw the files, and I knew something was wrong the moment I read the first one. The numbers didn't add up. The timelines were off. Signatures were forged. I stayed up all night. The next morning, Sarah found me on the couch, laptop open, eyes red. "Mark," she said gently, "what's going on?" I looked up at her. My voice cracked. "She fired me." She rushed to sit next to me. "What? Why? After everything you've done for them." Said they needed someone younger. Her eyes welled up, but she didn't cry. She wrapped her arms around me. "Then they don't deserve you." I wanted to believe her. Later that day, I called Ron. He picked up on the second ring. "Mark, I was expecting this call." "You were right. Something's not right with the numbers," I told him. "She's cooking the books," he said flatly. I had my suspicions. That's why I stepped away. "What do we do?" He paused. "We give her enough rope to hang herself. You still have admin access, right? I nodded. For now, but probably not for long. Then we move fast. I'll loop in legal, but we need proof. Real proof. I'll get it, I said. I had just finished the call when I got a text from an old colleague. Hey, just heard the news. Can't believe they let you go. We need to talk. Urgent. I replied, call me anytime. Minutes later, the phone rang. It was Jake, one of the newer project managers. Mark, something's wrong. My department had asked me to backdate some reports. Told me to change a couple of vendor receipts. I didn't think much of it until now. My pulse quickened. Do you still have the originals? Yeah. I saved them on my personal drive just in case. Jake, I need you to send those to me. Right now. He agreed, and within the hour, my inbox had 3 files. One of them had Laura's name on it. I knew then that this was bigger than just a firing. It was fraud, and I had just found the match that could burn the whole thing down. But what I didn't know was that Laura had already started suspecting something. The next day, my access was revoked. All my passwords. Gone. Emails. Locked out. My company login said user not found. I wasn't just fired. I was being erased. The next morning, I woke up feeling like I had dreamt the whole thing. But the cold sting of reality hit me as soon as I walked into my kitchen and saw the half-eaten slice of cheesecake from yesterday's lunch. My job was gone. 20 years of loyalty, passion, and effort swept away over a plate of pasta and a patronizing smile. I sat at my kitchen table, sipping black coffee and staring out the window. The silence felt louder than usual. I kept thinking about what Susan had said. You're just not what the company needs moving forward. It echoed in my head like a cruel song. Was I really that easy to replace? Did 2 decades of service mean nothing? I decided to go on a walk. The neighborhood was waking up. Kids on bikes, dogs barking, someone mowing their lawn. For a moment, I felt normal again. I ran into Mrs. Bennett, my elderly neighbor, who asked how work was going. I smiled weakly and lied, all good, before making a quick excuse and walking away. I couldn't say it out loud yet. Saying it meant it was real. By noon, I forced myself to update my resume. It had been years since I touched it. I barely remembered what my last title was. I stared at the blinking cursor, feeling like a dinosaur in a world of TikTok trends and AI tools. What the hell was I supposed to do now? Who hires a 56-year-old man with no TikTok account? Later in the evening, I called my daughter Megan. She was still at college, studying marketing. I tried to sound upbeat. Hey, sweetie, just wanted to check in. But she could tell something was off. Megan had always been sharp like her mom. Dad, what's wrong? She asked. I told her the truth. I told her about the lunch, about Susan's words, about how everything I built was just gone. There was silence on the line for a moment, and then she said something that brought tears to my eyes. You're not just what the company needed. Dad, you're what people need. Maybe not Susan's company, but people who actually care. That night, Megan posted about what happened on LinkedIn. She didn't name the company, but she shared my story. She wrote about loyalty, ageism, and how her father was the hardest working person she knew. She ended it by saying, if you're hiring someone who knows how to lead with empathy, solve problems, and treat people right, you might want to meet my dad. I had no idea she posted it until the next morning. When I checked my phone, I had dozens of messages. Former co-workers, friends, even people I'd never met. They were all saying the same thing. Unbelievable. She didn't deserve you. You want to come in for an interview. One message stood out. It was from Patrick, the CEO of a rival company. We'd bumped heads at conferences before. Always competitive, always trying to one-up each other. His message was short. Lunch? My treat. Let's talk. I didn't know what was going to happen, but something told me this lunch would be different. Very different. Patrick wanted to meet at a sleek little bistro downtown. One of those places where the menus are just QR codes and the servers wear aprons but no name tags. I wore my best suit, even though it was a little tight around the middle these days. I hadn't worn it since Megan's high school graduation. As I walked in, I saw Patrick already at the table, sipping sparkling water and tapping away on his phone. He stood up when he saw me. "Tom, long time." We shook hands, and for once, he didn't try to outsqueeze me. That was a first. "Thanks for coming," he said. "I saw your daughter's post. The whole thing's a disgrace." I raised an eyebrow. "You mean Susan?" He nodded. "I've dealt with her. Ruthless, but dumb. She let go of someone who actually knows how to run a team. That's rare." I wasn't sure where this was going. Patrick leaned in. "I've got a position opening up. Executive Director of Operations. It's yours if you want it." I blinked. "Just like that?" He chuckled. "You think I'm the only one who read that post? You've got half the industry talking. Look, Tom, I've known you for 20 years. We've been competitors. Sure, but I always respected you. And now, I need someone who can clean up my operations. It's a mess. You're the only one I trust to fix it." It felt like a dream. Just days ago, I was sitting across from Susan while she ended my career with fake sympathy and tiramisu. Now, Patrick, my biggest rival, was offering me a better job over lunch. But I didn't say yes. "Not yet. I need to think about it," I said. Patrick smiled. "Good. Take your time, but not too long." That night, I told Megan. She screamed so loud I had to hold the phone away from my ear. "Dad, that's amazing. You have to take it." I laughed, but I wasn't sure. Something about it didn't sit right. Maybe it was pride. Maybe it was fear. Or maybe, deep down, I wanted something else. I spent the next day talking to old co-workers. Some of them had also been pushed out by Susan. One guy, Gary, had been there for 15 years before he got laid off just before his retirement package kicked in. Another, Denise, told me about how Susan hired her niece straight out of college into a manager role, while people like Denise were stuck training them. A pattern was forming. Susan had a habit of replacing experience with new blood. But now, thanks to Megan's post, the world was watching. On Friday, I got a call. It was from a local journalist. She was writing a piece on workplace ageism and asked if I'd be willing to talk. I paused. This wasn't just about me anymore. I agreed. We met the next day at a cafe. I told her everything about the lunch, the replacement, the offer from Patrick. She listened quietly, typing away, nodding every few minutes. When she was done, she looked up and said, "People need to hear this. Thank you." I didn't know how big the article would get. But 2 days later, it was everywhere. Headlines read, 20-year employee fired over lunch, a brutal trend in corporate America. Susan's name was in it. So was the company. And so was mine. That's when the calls started. But this time, not from recruiters, from lawyers. And then, one very unexpected call, from Susan herself. When Susan called, I didn't answer at first. Let it go to voicemail. Her voice, sharp and urgent, crackled through my phone. "Tom, we need to talk. Please call me back." I didn't want to talk to her. Not after what she did. But curiosity got the better of me. When I finally called her back, her tone was strangely soft. "Tom, listen. I think there's been a misunderstanding." I held back a laugh. "A misunderstanding? You fired me over dessert, Susan." She sighed. "The board is concerned. That article made a lot of noise. We've been getting calls from investors, clients, even employees threatening to walk. I may have acted too quickly." "Too quickly," I repeated, feeling the words burn in my throat. "I'd like you to come back," she said. "Same position. Same pay. We'll issue a public statement. Say it was a leave of absence. Just help me fix this." I stared out my window. The sky was cloudy, but I felt strangely calm. "No," I said. "I'm not coming back." Silence. Then she said, "Are you sure? Think about your pension, your benefits. You've built your life here." I thought about that, about the 20 years I gave to the company, about all the late nights, the missed holidays, the weekends spent fixing other people's messes. And then I thought about Patrick's offer, about Megan's pride, about Gary, Denise, and all the others left behind by Susan's ambition. I have built my life, I told her, but not at your company, not in the mall. I hung up. Later that week, I accepted Patrick's job. It wasn't just a job, it was a chance to build something better. And I didn't stop there. I started a mentorship program for older professionals navigating career transitions. Megan helped me build a website. Gary offered to help coach people on interviews. Denise offered resume workshops. Soon, we had a small community. People who had been discarded by companies that saw them as outdated or too expensive. We were proving that experience still had value. One day, a letter came in the mail from a young woman named Rachel who had just lost a job in a similar way. She said our story helped her find hope, helped her fight back. That was the moment I realized getting fired over lunch may have been the best thing that ever happened to me. Sometimes, doors don't close to push you out. They close so you finally look for the one that leads you forward. And this time, I wasn't just walking through that door. I was holding it open for everyone else. Subscribe for more unbelievable stories like this. You won't believe what happens next. Stay tuned. Free. Small. Words. 6 months later, I was standing on stage at a local career conference, holding a microphone. Rows of chairs were filled with people, some older, some younger, all looking for that next step forward in their lives. Megan sat in the front row, grinning from ear to ear. Gary and Denise manned a small booth near the back, handing out flyers and snacks. Patrick stood off to the side, arms crossed, nodding as I spoke. 6 months ago, I was fired after 20 years of loyal service. I felt crushed, humiliated, and angry, I told the crowd. But that day, I discovered something powerful. I wasn't just a number. I was a person with skills, experience, and the ability to rebuild. There was a wave of quiet applause. Then questions. People lined up to speak to me, to Megan, to our small team. And that's when I saw her. Susan. She was standing off to the side of the crowd, sunglasses perched on her head, wearing a sleek black blazer. I watched her from the stage as she slowly made her way to our booth. She didn't make eye contact, didn't smile, just picked up a brochure from Denise, nodded, and walked away. That moment felt complete, not because I got revenge, but because I no longer needed it. I had moved on. Weeks later, I heard that Susan had stepped down from her position. The board had lost faith in her after a string of public backlash. Apparently, her attempts to replace senior staff with younger talent backfired horribly. Projects were delayed, communication broke down, and clients left. But I didn't celebrate. I didn't gloat. Instead, I sent an email. Susan, if you ever want to join one of our mentorship meetings, the door is open. Tom. She never replied. And that was okay, because this story wasn't about her anymore. It was about the people who believed in me, about the strength we find when we think all hope is gone, about how sometimes being pushed out is just the beginning of something bigger. Today, we've helped over 200 professionals find new paths. We've launched 3 satellite groups across the state. And next year, we're going national. All because someone thought I was too old to matter. Turns out, I was just getting started. Subscribe for more powerful stories like this. And remember, never stop believing.